Da Lang's folk songs, Liao Zipu Songling vernacular Xiaozhai stories, wall painting. Meng Longtan from Jiangxi and a scholar named Zhu were temporarily staying in the capital city. One day, they chanced upon a small temple. Inside the temple, there was a narrow hall with only an old monk residing there temporarily. The old monk warmly welcomed the guests and took them on a tour of the temple. In the center of the Buddha hall stood a statue of the venerable monk Baozi, and the walls on both sides were adorned with exquisite and marvelous murals, depicting lifelike characters. On the eastern wall, there was a group of celestial maidens scattering flowers, among whom was a young girl with loose hair, holding a flower and smiling. Her cherry lips seemed as if she was about to speak, and her affectionate eyes appeared to be overflowing with emotion. Zhu, the scholar, was captivated by the young girl, and his mind wandered, lost in deep thoughts. Suddenly, his body felt weightless, and as if riding on clouds and mist, he found himself flying onto the wall. The hall and pavilions before him seemed unlike the earthly realm. An old monk was delivering a sermon on a high platform, surrounded by many monks in their robes, listening attentively. Zhu, the scholar, stood among them. After a while, he felt someone tugging at his clothes. He turned around and saw the same young girl who had given him a smile and then left. She gestured for him to follow, and he did so. They walked through winding corridors until the girl entered a small room. Zhu hesitated to proceed further. The girl turned around, holding the flower, and beckoned him from afar. With that, Zhu hastened to follow her into the room. The room was empty and silent, and he embraced the girl. She didn't resist, and they spent some intimate moments like a couple. After the encounter, the girl left, instructing Zhu not to cough or make a sound. During the night, she returned, and this repeated for 2 days. The women companions discovered the affair and found Zhu, teasing the girl, "Your belly is already so big. And you still want to pretend to be a young girl with disheveled hair?" They brought hairpins and earrings, urging her to tie her hair like a married woman. The girl blushed and couldn't say a word. One of the women said, "Sisters, we shouldn't linger here, it might upset someone." They left, laughing. Zhu, again, looked at the girl, and now she had her hair elegantly tied up, with phoenix hairpins adorning it, looking even more alluring than when she had her hair disheveled. Seeing no one around, Zhu began to embrace the girl again, intoxicated by the fragrance of orchids and musk. As they indulged in each other's company, they suddenly heard urgent and resounding footsteps, followed by a clamor of voices. Startled, the girl sat up on the bed, and Zhu joined her in peeking outside. They saw a messenger clad in golden armor, with a dark face, carrying a chain and a big hammer. The celestial maidens surrounded him. The messenger asked, "Is everyone here?" The maidens replied, "All are present." The messenger warned, "If anyone is hiding a mortal from the lower realm, report immediately, and don't bring trouble upon yourselves." The maidens responded in unison, "No one is." The messenger, like an old vulture, looked around, as if searching for something. The girl was terrified, her face pale as ash, and hurriedly told Zhu, "Quickly hide under the bed." She opened a small door on the wall and hurriedly left. Zhu hid under the bed, hardly daring to breathe. After a while, the sound of footsteps gradually entered the room and then left. There were still people talking outside. Zhu anxiously hid for a long time, feeling like cicadas chirping in his ears and seeing flashes of light before his eyes. The situation was unbearable. However, he could only wait for the girl's return, as he couldn't recall where he came from. At that moment, Meng Longtan was in the main hall and suddenly noticed that Zhu was missing. He hurriedly asked the old monk about it. The old monk smiled, and said, he went to listen to the scriptures. Meng Longtan asked, "Where is he?" The old monk replied, "Not far from here." After a while, The old monk tapped on the wall and shouted loudly, "Master Zhu, how can you travel so far and not come back?" Zhu's portrait appeared on the mural, standing quietly with his ear inclined, as if he was listening to something. The old monk called out again, "Your companions have been waiting for you for a long time." At this, Zhu floated down from the mural, feeling disheartened, dumbfounded, and standing there like a statue. Meng Longton was greatly astonished, and slowly inquired about what had happened. It turned out that Zhu had been hiding under the bed, and when he heard the thunder-like knocking sound, he went outside to check and returned to the real world. Everyone looked at the portrait of the disheveled hair girl, and now she had her hair tied up, no longer the girl with loose hair. Zhu was puzzled and bowed to the old monk, seeking an explanation. The old monk smiled, and said, "Illusions originate from the human mind, how could I know?" Zhu felt frustrated and puzzled. Meng Longton was amazed and uneasy. The two bid farewell and left the temple. According to Yi Shishi, all illusions are created by the human mind. Truly the words of a wise sage. If one's mind is filled with debauchery, it will produce obscene scenes. If filled with arrogance, it will give rise to terrifying situations. Bodhisattvas try to enlighten ignorant beings by letting them experience various illusions, which all spring from their own hearts. Good teachers are full of compassion, and advise ceaselessly. But unfortunately, ignorant beings often fail to awaken and go to the mountains and woods for practice.